Okay, so the heart is something we always talk about, even symbolically, as the center, the heart of society, the heart of the country. The heart is probably a very central system within a person. So we're interested in knowing what do you think is the role of the heart, and how do you see the heart, and the heart as the part of this great system that is called the human body. The heart is truly the center. First of all, spiritually, we relate all of the desires and passions of a person to the heart, all of his direction, and to speak from the heart, to feel the heart. The heart signifies the center of life, both in corporeality and both in the spiritual sense. Why? Spiritually, it symbolizes, of course, it only symbolizes. It's not that the organ itself, because we can exchange organs, we can even put something mechanical instead of it. It's only a pump. But this pump is very important, first of all, because it presents us the main action in nature, which is to receive and to give. It receives blood from the whole body and passes it onwards through pressure in all of the organs to clean and again to renew. And then it flows the blood to the entire body. So, of course, the heart does not work alone. It cannot pump blood throughout the body alone. But with the help of within all of the blood vessels, there are all kinds of actions there that operate together with the heart mutually, and they are the ones that push the flow onwards to each and every cell, to each and every place in the body. The heart, all in all, it's not that it has power, it's more of it gives the pace. It gives the beginning to the entire action, and then all of the lots of systems in the blood vessels, which we only know about more or less how that works, they work together with the heart. The heart is not the only pump in the body, but all of these systems that are tied to it, they belong to the heart. And of course, there are a lot of problems with the operation of the heart because the reception and giving need to be balanced, and that is what the heart depends on. Its operation in the body depends on, and also what the entire body depends on. And we can also see this in the more emotional and spiritual levels in a person, because if these systems of reception and giving are balanced, just like in the physical body, then the person is in balance and harmony with his environment. And the person is just like the heart. He receives and gives, and in such a way, he functions in a healthy way with all of the rest of the people around him. So we are also tied between us through our hearts in our attributes. And ideally, we need to use them harmoniously with others to give and to receive everything we need. And the heart itself actually doesn't need anything. Just a small amount of energy, only so that it will be able to function. But it doesn't feed on the blood that flows through it. It doesn't receive anything from it. And also, it doesn't give it. It doesn't take anything from what it gives. Its role is to give, and its pleasure, if we could say that, is to serve the entire body, to give life, livelihood, flow to the entire body. So this is an example of a person's emotional, psychological health, so that if he also behaves in this way, then in consideration to others, love thy neighbor as thyself, don't do to others what you hate yourself, to give to society and the environment everything that he needs, everything that they need in order to fulfill their desires, taking only what he needs in return. This is the action. This is the way the heart operates, and all the research are now showing that, and what we've been saying here is that we are all connected, also psychologically, emotionally, and so these systems influence one another, and it's already clear to us from the nervous system and our psychological systems that if we are not in harmony, if something's wrong with us, then the heart is influenced by that. Why do we say, "Oh, my heart aches"? Because something happened to my heart. Because the nervous system, it influences the heart. It reduces it, and the heart feels things immediately. So we have to understand that the higher systems of the relations between us, the egoistic heart, the heart that is completely used only so to receive and not to give, that acts in the wrong way, it has to be in harmony. So actually, from the level of our desires, the level of our relationships that are broken, this influences also our physical heart. So if up until our days we weren't so interconnected in society, in our global society, in the integral connection between us, then it wouldn't influence us so much. But today, in the past dozens of years, let's say from the middle of the last century, the interconnection that is revealed is more tight, and yet we are still continuing to use our ego instead of trying to improve our mutual connection. Then it turns out that by that we influence also our physical heart. So it's no wonder that all kinds of heart illnesses and blood vessels are increasing and becoming dangerous, one of the greatest dangers to our health. And so as much as we treat it, and really we know how to treat the heart, because all in all it's not a complicated organ in itself, but we make a kind of correction of its operation through all kinds of means, but still the number of cases of heart illnesses do not decrease, and the statistics show a negative tendency, inclination. So it shows that we still have not begun to correct the relationships, the connection between us, and only if we treat things on the human level, which is the highest level, and organize our relationships in the correct way of reception and giving, and make this correct flow between us in the equal, correct way, in the calm way, in harmony between us, then it will influence all of the other systems, and firstly, our heart system. So we can talk here about how the heart is built in accordance to the spiritual structure, its rooms and its actions, and the system that is tied to the heart. These are interesting things, but I don't think that this is the topic that we should go deeper into here. As usual, just like with every illness, we heal the problem itself, the symptoms that are easy for the eye to see, and not the true causes. Just like the doctors say, that everything comes from the mind. So if we would organize our relationships, our thoughts, our desires, the heart is the center of our desires, also in the spiritual sense. The heart also it's in the Hebrew letters, it's 32, and that's the 32 paths of wisdom. There's a lot about it that has to do with the wisdom of a person. So what else can we say? Love. That's how you cure the heart, with love. all the crimes shall be covered by love. So if the heart operates in order to supply everything it can for those outside of him, that means that he's operating through love towards the body, towards others. And then of course that brings healing. Instead of heart institutes, I'd open love institutes. I would teach people, at least as preventive treatment, to do so. He needs to understand that. Okay, yeah, so we're going to reach this preventive medicine. We've also written that down, this Love Institute. But let's look at the statistics that you mentioned. By the way, the United States is is its first cause of death is heart illnesses, and in Israel it's in the second place after cancer. So this is interesting to see that it's very characteristic of Western countries. The Eastern countries are less inclined to heart illnesses. And also, it's interesting that the heart illnesses are not illnesses that come towards the older ages. It's not because the body has is worn down, but it has more to do with lifestyle and nutrition and all these things. And now you've connected relationships with others. You explained how actually the heart system is connected to our relationships with each other. So if we look for a moment at the Western countries and Eastern countries, is there a difference? Well, there is a difference because in countries in the East, there are more close relationships between people. It's as if they are developing countries. They have not yet gotten out of their ego. They're where you have they haven't yet developed the ego where you have more individualistic tendencies, but they still have more community atmospheres, and that, of course, makes it easier on the heart. But of course, if you look at the statistics and you look at the past 50 years or 100 years, you'll also see that it's rising over there. And also in Western countries, you didn't used to be this way until they reached this modern level of development. It all depends on the extent of our ego and how much each of us is closed off within himself. And then a person's heart explodes, you could say, if it's not operating in the correct way, in harmony between all people, between and all the other people, between themselves and with the nature around them, then all these things, there are systems and subsystems of the general system that needs to be in harmony. And the heart is it's harmed by this.